Mindwise with Dr. Joe Lukens. But I want you to think back to your last holiday. Maybe you're just getting back into reality after a break over Christmas. For some, they do get those post-holiday blues. For others, and hopefully for you, you're feeling fresh and invigorated with lots of fresh ideas and creativity. But how do we keep that feeling going? Psychology expert Dr. Joe Lukens is with me. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
You're fresh back from a break too?
I am. Today I'm fresh. Last Thursday I was less fresh, so I'm very grateful.
Jet lag?
Yeah, I'm very grateful we speak on a Monday.
So how can reflecting on our break or holiday experiences help us with our mental health and well-being throughout the year?
It's a great thing for us to think about, because sometimes we do segment our holidays from our general everyday living. Yeah, that's right. And so hopefully what our holidays bring us is like you say, positive, happy experiences. Not every moment, but even some laughable moments perhaps along the way. So we know that whenever we look back at something from a place of nostalgia, that's generally good for us in terms of our well-being and how it affects how we feel. You know, for many of us, holidays can serve as something of like a buffer to some of the stresses of life, and helps us to build with our resilience as well. So being able to reflect back on our holidays, like you said, we can have the post-holiday blues, but it's really great when we can switch that around and make that a more positive and helpful experience for ourselves.
Yeah, and we know that rest and having that fun and spontaneity is important, and that's what weekends or your days off, if you're working, can be. So in terms of routine, how can we sort of incorporate some of that freedom and spontaneity that we experience during the holidays into our real life, if we want to use that term?
I think one of the ways to do it is, people are often seeking happiness. And what we know is that you can't really go out and chase happiness.
Yeah.
But what happens is happiness comes as a consequence to the things that we do. So that when we can schedule, even like you said, on a weekend, what's something small that you could do this weekend that you will find pleasurable, that's a good way to kind of mimic some of the joy that you get from holidays, because the joy from holidays comes from, as you said, the experiences and probably the people that we spend that time with. So, some of that scheduling and building things, particularly hobbies, are a great way to kind of bring that spontaneity and planned, enjoyable activities as well.
So what role does being Mindwise sort of play into translating those holiday moments into the sustainable practices for year-round well-being?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that can be really helpful here is that when we engage in mindfulness techniques, because I know a lot of people, I think I know what mindfulness is, but I'm not so sure. But it's about being in the moment. And what you can do is you can bring yourself to a place where you're focusing in a very similar way to what you might do on a holiday. So I know I'm just thinking back on my holiday with nostalgia, because it's just recently happened. But I can almost think myself back into a moment.
Yes.
Now, it's very hard to get myself into the ski fields in North Queensland, I have to say, from a temperature perspective. But being in the moment is one of those things that we can definitely do that is familiar to what we're doing when we're on holiday, enjoying a particular experience.
Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, you have just got back and sort of you're dealing with that jet lag, and you're back into real life. What are some of the takeaways from your recent trip?
Yeah, so our holiday, we were very fortunate. We had an extended holiday because we haven't had one since probably before COVID, and it did involve a little bit of skiing and so forth. So what I like to do when I come away, now this isn't just a holiday practice for me. I do this every single day. So every single day I walk away, particularly from my work day, and I think, what did I learn today? Like, because I think if you don't pay attention to life's lessons, it'll come along and teach them to you again.
They keep reminding you
in a moment. So, like one of the moments was when my family, who are all much better skiers than I am, I went careering down a hill and, flying off, and then they were waiting for me at the bottom, and they could see I was a bit anxious. And at times I froze on the hill. And I think that's a good lesson around fear. So what I realised skiing, and I guess it's got some parallels to normal life, is that sometimes if you get fearful, you get stuck. And so what I needed to do to get off that mountain is I needed to move. But what happened is when I moved, some confidence came with it, the fear dissipated, and so there were every day I sort of sat down and kind of did a little log for myself as to what was my lesson today, and I probably did it in a more formal way than I normally do when I'm on a holiday. Any
other quick lessons, maybe your other highlight lesson?
Yeah, the other one that I think would translate well into this year is know when to take a rest. So we'd skied maybe 2 days and I felt fine. and I took a day off anyway. So sometimes, we need to schedule those breaks in for ourselves, and whether we use it as our weekend or whether we, buy ourselves some time through the week by changing our schedules and so forth, making sure that we factor rest in, because that builds our resilience and it will make us much more capable to navigate our way through the year.